Hi everyone, so I know this is the update you guys have all been waiting for. I do have a little bit of a story time first before we get right into it, but I just want to kind of explain to you why this is a sit down video and not a live reaction of my embryo report. So if you know anything about IVF, which you're either watching because you also are doing IVF or you're watching because you're just a follower and a subscriber and you just want to stay updated and you want to support me. So I'm going to explain as if you don't know what IVF is and how it works. So basically, take out the eggs out of my ovaries, they fertilize them as you guys saw, and you usually have to wait about 5 or 6 days. Anything after 6 days is usually not a good quality embryo and has a very low chance of implanting, which basically means day 7 embryo isn't as good chances, I guess, or as healthy as a 5 or 6 day. There is day 7s that do work, but most clinics, especially if you have day 5s and 6s, don't keep them, but some do. It all depends on your clinic. So basically, I guess day 5 is like when most people start hearing if there's embryos or not. Day 6 is there's usually some that catch up, and then that's kind of it. So after your eggs are fertilized, which is usually about 24 hours after your egg retrieval, you have to wait, at least in my experience, we had to wait 4 days, sorry, in order to get our day 5 update. So she called me on day 5, my embryologist, and told me that I didn't have any out of the 20 fertilized that were at the stage to go into the freezer, which for me, that was absolutely devastating because I was like, oh my gosh, I have 20 eggs fertilized. And obviously the more eggs you start with, the better chance of having an embryo you have because there's less of a percentage that will drop off, if that makes any sense. Obviously, that's just like the typical standard. That's the average. It doesn't, everybody's different. Some people have higher success rates, some people have lower. Now, on day 5, like I said, she called me and she told me there was no embryos to put in the freezer. And she told me not to worry, but in my head, I started worrying a lot. When I tell you I cried all day long thinking I would never have a child, I am not being dramatic. I was crying so hard that I physically could not breathe. Even though she told me not to worry, I felt like something isn't right. I have 20 fertilized eggs and you're telling me not one of them is ready on day 5 when most people have some ready on day 5, at least one, and then some on day 6. I posted in an IVF group and nobody could respond to me saying that they had no day 5 embryos. So I thought, oh my God, my eggs aren't turning into embryos and this is my problem. Not only do I have endometriosis, but my eggs are not turning into embryos. And I was in tears. And that to me was something that was absolutely crushing. I was so upset. She's like, I'm gonna call you back tomorrow. I'm expecting 7, don't worry. I thought she was just being really nice. So she calls me on day 6. I did call my doctor after day 5 and I was like, what's happening? He's like, don't worry. You are supposed to have 7. Don't even worry about it. They're still developing. They didn't stop, they're just slower at developing, which day 6ers are totally fine, don't worry. But I just thought they were trying to just like, you know, keep me in like good faith. I did not believe them. So when day 6 came and I got my phone call, I started crying before I even answered the phone because I was like, I don't want to hear it. I basically got prepared for having no embryos and having to either do this all over again or coming to terms that I'm never gonna have a baby. It might seem dramatic to some people, but it's just the reality. And I like to prepare myself for the worst because if I get good news, that's great. But if I get bad news, I'm like already halfway done grieving, if that makes any sense. So I was grieving the whole day before. I kind of like took a deep breath and I just like answered the phone and I was crying and I just could not pick up the camera. I was like, I do not want to record this moment because it is going to be absolutely devastating and I'm embarrassed, frankly, and I don't want to record. And now looking back, I wish I did because I answered the phone and she was in a great mood. She's like, hi, Karlee. I'm like, hi. She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm scared. She's like, why? I'm like, because I've been crying all night. Like, I have no embryos yet. And she's like, don't worry, because then I came in today, you had 11 embryos. And I was like, 11? And I just started hysterically crying. I hugged Josh. I'm bawling my eyes out. Josh is giving me a hug. He got a little teary-eyed. He won't admit it, but he almost cried. I felt like I won the lottery. I was bawling my eyes. I was like, 11 embryos, like that is such a good number. So basically 11 embryos means there's 11 babies. Each one of those is a baby that is mixed with my DNA and Josh's DNA. And we have 11 embryos, which is insane to me. And if you guys want to know the gradings, so like obviously if you do not know IVF lingo or you're not really into it, here's like a little chart to explain the embryo gradings. You could just pause it and see. And then here are my embryo gradings. I'll put them all here of my, really Kappa? Of my 11 embryos. I will put all of my gradings right here. So if you are into IVF and you know what these mean, you will be interested. If you're not, then you won't really know. But basically, to wrap it all up, all of my embryos, except one of them, which developed late, are even the lowest quality one is still not like horrible quality. It's just not the best. It's below average, but it's not like horrible. They still kept the embryo. And all of the other 10 are like of good quality. So I'm so excited. Also, embryo gradings are different from like embryologists. One embryologist can look at the embryo and think it's a different grade than someone else. It's more of just like an opinion. Obviously there's stuff that goes behind it, but every embryologist will look at one embryo and will grade it differently. So you don't really want to overthink it, but it is important to make sure that it is of good quality. And I have 10 good quality ones. So I basically, so far, fingers crossed, have responded very well to IVF, and that is most likely because of my age. You know, I reacted very well to this medication, and I have 11 embryos, and I'm so thankful because I know so many women don't get that many or only get one or get none and have to do it again. I feel for you. I feel for you because it is absolutely emotional roller coaster, and I will do a whole video on that, and I would love to answer some of your guys' questions and do a whole Q&A on it. Yeah, I have 11 embryos, and so we're basically just waiting to do the transfer. And yeah, I've taken a break. I've been like just working out and like just feeling myself again. And it's definitely been feeling good because I have not had the best experience with IVF. I don't think anyone really does. It's not a fun experience to go through. It's very emotionally taxing, and it affects you like it's all you're thinking about all day, and it consumes you, and you don't feel like yourself. And so I've just given myself a little bit of a break, basically just feel myself again and not worry about it, and just celebrate the fact that I'm married and having fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really wish I would have got my raw reaction because it definitely was surreal. You guys should have saw my face. I was bawling my eyes out, and it would have been great to have that moment on camera, but I wanted to protect my heart, and I honestly was embarrassed, and I didn't want to. It's a lot of pressure like sharing this stuff with you guys because I don't want to let anyone down, and I also don't want to give anyone bad news. I feel like I need to be giving good news, so it's definitely nerve-wracking. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm so thankful, and that is my update. So 11 embryos in the freezer, which sounds so weird. But yeah, I have 11 chances of having a baby, and I'm so excited. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for following me along on this journey. There is some more videos over on Patreon, more in depth and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, babes.